Let me welcome you to an interesting story of a fallen angel, a person whose name remains relevant in the world of controversial sportsmen, a story of Daniel Köllerer, also known as Crazy Danny. Daniel was born on August 17, 1983 in Wels, Austria. Daniel's journey in tennis was marked not only by his extraordinary game awareness on the court, but also by his stern personal and professional life. As a young tennis player, Daniel's name got fame as an extraordinary talent. He showed exceptional gameplay and fierce nature on the tennis court. His aggressive playing style and unconventional shot selections gained the attention of tennis fans. He accelerated in the ranks of young tennis stars very quickly. However, it wasn't long before Daniel's on-court dominance was overshadowed by his off-court amusing behavior, which gave him the infamous nickname Crazy Danny. Daniel quickly developed a reputation as one of the most polarizing figures in tennis due to his outspoken temperament and his fiery nature. From provocative actions and insulting remarks, I invite you to discover the controversial tale of Daniel Köllerer, one of the most hated players of tennis until 2011. Banned for lifetime in 2011, Daniel is not really missed by many of his old colleagues on ATP Tour due to his unbearable behavior and unprofessional nature. The Austrian player has a lot of controversies and hostilities, including spitting and racial abuse. While his professional career was not really taking off and he was stuck in challenges of tournaments, he continued to involve himself in scandals where he posed and broke rackets many times. But the icing on the cake was that his opponents refused to shake hands with him. One of many examples was a Brazilian player, Marcos Daniel, that he used to call Monkey. He even advised him to return to his jungle. Federico Luzzi, who died in 2009 from cancer, also had an encounter in which he did not accept his handshake with Daniel. Daniel was also seen spitting in his hand before the Italian opponent. With such rude behavior, he was struggling to find professional partners which could help him in his training. Stefan Kubik, who once played against him in the Austrian Championship, also said, "All the players hate him. He almost strangled him during this championship." Words like asshole were flowers to Daniel. Stefan Kubik also mentioned that if the spectators understood those insults, they could have broken his neck. Daniel said, "I don't care about what others say about me. If I have to change, I will do it for me, not to please others." At that time, he was getting good results on the court. He was also accelerating towards the ATP Top 50. Daniel found a friendly coach who understood him, or at least he tried to do so. His coach once mentioned that as soon as he stepped on the court, it seemed like he started fighting for his life. Many notable sportsmen got their names on a positive doping test. But what if an all-time great is accused of taking performance enhancer or prohibited substances? Rafael Nadal never got the chance to cross paths with Daniel in a tennis match, and although he had no quarrel with Daniel, the latter put blatant allegations on Nadal in an interview to a sports website in September 2013, in which he said Nadal cannot be negative after 7 months off due to injury. He returned and won 10 tournaments from 13, and it is impossible. Nobody believes that he doesn't take anything. You can imagine the consequences that would have resulted in. After those allegations, people started calling him Crazy Danny. Daniel also wondered how David Ferrer could smoke a cigarette before his matches and then run like a rabbit. Meanwhile, neither Daniel nor Nadal answered those allegations. But Tony Nadal, the Spaniard's uncle and coach, replied with contempt and said, "I don't even know. That person has no credibility." Despite the rumors, Daniel was never officially banned or found to be guilty of doping during his tennis career. Still, there are rumors and suspicious activities around him for his use of performance-enhancing drugs. Meanwhile, the doping accusations against Nadal and all these statements about his fellow players, including acquisitions of prohibited substances, are related to Daniel's unpredictable behavior. What are the reasons for his lifetime banishment in tennis? Speaking of allegations, Daniel was not limited to his behavioral issues. Do you know he had also done something more malicious? I want to tell you that Daniel was the first individual to receive lifetime match fixing. Daniel was fined $100,000 and faced charges for telling other players to underperform between 2009 and 2010. Tennis Integrity Unit identified incidents where Daniel was involved in unethical practices with his colleagues, and some fellow players also reported the manipulative behavior of Daniel. The Integrity Unit, led by former Scotland detective Jeff Rees in London, disclosed breaking news when Daniel was found guilty of manipulating match results.
Paris, they offered me double money to lose against Masu in straight sets.
He was also involved in pursuing players to not give their 100% efforts during matches. He also offered incentives to influence players for negative performance. The details regarding specific matches were kept hidden by the Tennis Integrity Unit. Crazy Danny underwent 2 days of trial in relation to all the acquisitions and allegations. Daniel's manager, Manfred Narieka, discarded the allegations, claiming a lack of evidence and hinting at a possible appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. However, the investigation's toll on Daniel's sports life was much evident, especially the uncertainty of affording legal expenses. The same unit inspected Nikolai Davydenko's suspicious loss at a 2007 tournament in Poland. Despite significant betting activity around Nikolai, no formal charges were filed. It is noticeable that it was not the first encounter of Daniel with the Integrity Unit. He previously faced suspension for 3 months for promoting betting ads on his personal website. But who was the real Daniel Köllerer behind the controversial headlines and tabloid stories? Despite his reputation as a brash and confrontational figure, those who knew Daniel personally often described him as a complex and misunderstood individual. Imagine someone who looks really confident. It seems like they're always in control and ready to take on anything. But deep down, this person is actually dealing with a lot of doubts and fears. They're fighting against their own feelings of insecurity and inner demons. For Daniel, being a tennis player meant dealing with a lot of pressure. People expected a lot from him because he was really good at what he did. But all that attention and fame also made him feel really stressed out. He had to figure out how to balance his love for tennis with all the expectations that came with it. It's like he was trying to find a way to make peace between his passion for the sport and the pressure to be successful. In interviews conducted after his ban from tennis, Daniel spoke candidly about the toll that the controversies had taken on his mental health and his well-being too. He admitted his mistakes and acknowledged that he had let his emotions get the better of him at times. Despite his regrets, Daniel remained defiant and refused to be defined entirely by his past transgressions, and vowing to rebuild his life outside of the spotlight. Daniel found himself exiled from the sport which he loved the most at just 30 years of age after being accused of match fixing. Despite his appeals of innocence, the Court of Arbitration for Sport upheld the ban, which effectively ended his career on the court. After that, he disappeared into obscurity. Daniel's legacy serves as a cautionary tale of the threats of unchecked ego and the destructive power of unresolved demons. His exit from the sport he once loved serves as a sobering reminder of the consequences of unethical behavior. So, how do you remember Daniel Köllerer? A fallen angel or price of controversies? YouTube algorithm thinks you like this video next. Let's see if they're right.